All right, guys, a fun question to wrap up before we conclude our week. Let's give a shout outs to a creator or a business that do a great job on social media. Guys, if you're looking to be entertained, informed, or both on social, what's one account that you're going to check out? I'm going to go to Ian first because I can see Duncan's wheels turning because he didn't read the notes ahead of time and didn't know this question was coming up. Ian, we'll start with you.
Well, you see, Brian, I did read the notes, but you didn't limit it to one account in the notes. So I actually had four that I was gonna mention. So
quickly message Duncan with one of them, so he has
one. No, yeah, I have a few. As we've talked about before on this podcast, my main social media channel that I follow people on is YouTube. And there's a few people on there that I think have really interesting and insightful videos on YouTube. One of the people that I'm sure some of our listeners have probably heard of, a guy called Dan Ariely. I don't know if either of you guys know Dan Ariely. He is a professor of behavioral economics. And I find that very, very interesting. If you're unaware, behavioral economics sort of looks at the how you would expect people to react if they're put in certain situations or given certain feelings, and the kinds of things that can inspire them to perhaps act in a way that you would want to. Behavioral economics is essentially what puts candy next to the checkouts in supermarkets. They want you to make that little $1 purchase at the end of your checkout, at the end of your shopping trip, and things like that. So it can be used.
Guilty as charged.
Yes, yeah. So it can be used, but it can also be used in positive ways and things like that. So behavioral economics as a subject is very interesting, but Dan Ariely in particular, I think, does a great job of breaking it down in a very simplistic way and making it very fun and interesting to listen to. Another guy that I like to follow, a chap called Matt Bailey, who's a marketer. I found out about Matt Bailey back in 2011 when I was living back in Scotland. He did a presentation at a local college, and he had recently written a book called Digital Marketing An Hour a Day. And this was just at the time where I was kind of building up more of a knowledge about digital marketing and analytics and things like that. And I thought his book was excellent, so I started following him back then. But just over the last couple of years, Matt Bailey has really started to do a lot more on his YouTube channel. So it's not a very big channel. He's not super well known, perhaps a similar size to our channel, but I think he's really good. He talks about a lot of good stuff. So if you haven't ever seen him and you just want a little snippets about marketing, I think he's a great place to start. And then a chap called Peter Diamandis. Again, people might have heard of him. He's far more well known. He talks a lot about technology and science and business, and has a lot of really good guests that he talks to and interviews. And so I just would recommend checking out Peter H. Diamandis. He is on YouTube. I'm not sure about other platforms. But talks a lot about AI and robotics at the moment, which is very pertinent to a lot of things that we've been talking about recently, and the future of us and everyone. And the last guy I watch a lot of videos by is a guy called Matt Wolf, and he again talks a lot about AI and the new tools. He does a weekly video on a Friday, I think it is, which is all about the new tools he's discovered this week. So check him out. If you're not getting enough information about new tools from us, then you might learn something from his videos as well.
Yeah, Matt Wolf goes for it.
He goes
in depth. Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Duncan, what about you? You want to be entertained, informed? Who are you following on social?
I took this a different route with the question entirely.
Wait a second. What route would you have taken? Okay,
so
I want to hear
this. You meant what businesses are doing social media well, or what new things?
You're on the route, Duncan.
Talking about influencers on social channels.
No.
I did want to just. I don't know. Did you guys see that new ad by Dove?
No.
They made an ad that was basically I think it's called the Code is the name of the ad, but it's about making sure that beauty is real and not AI generated. Because I think what ends up happening, or what is happening in the world right now, we're getting a lot of tools that can do photorealistic images. So, if you the ad's really clever in the sense that it's basically very relatable right now with what's happening in marketing, but also kind of showing, that, Dove is really about real people. It always has been about real people. So now when you have all these AI images that are coming out of women and you just type in, like a blonde woman, the woman's beautiful. It's not a real representation of reality. Mm-hmm. So if you ever get a chance, just go see this ad, because I think it is a really moving ad, first of all, but I think it's also very relevant to what's happening right now in the world of kind of marketing and AI is, you're asking for a simple image and it gives you a beautiful person every single time. We could see changes in, people using real models versus AI models. There's even a lot of this going on now where, you can use a still picture to create someone who's talking. So you could use a fake person, do a voiceover. So this ad is actually built in a way to encourage people to use real people. And when we're defining the standards of beauty, not let an AI do it for us, because it will always make the person look generally pretty. Like there isn't like a real filter for the AI. So go check it out. It's Dove's ad's called The Code, but it's one of those ones that I think is hyper relevant right now for how AI is going to be influencing marketing in the years to come. And I think they kind of hit the nail on the head that, at least from the marketer standpoint, this is definitely discussions that we should be having before we just start using AI avatars of real people for everything.
Mm-hmm. That was a very well thought out answer, Duncan.
It was very interesting.
You were on track. You were. Now it makes it look like mine is way off base. For me, when I get done work, I just flip my brain off. I got no time for anything, right? And I discovered on TikTok a really fun account. And frankly, I'm somewhat jealous of this account with the way they create content. There's a pizza place in Tampa, Florida called Santoro's Pizzeria. They're on TikTok, and their TikTok account is kind of a behind the scenes look at what happens in this busy pizzeria from day to day, but it's kind of shot like a reality show. Mm-hmm. And so you really learn about the people behind the business and what's going on. Like we're having a staff outing, or this is how we make something, etc. But just the way they shoot it, I can't wait till another one of their videos comes out, because it reminds me so much of working in retail and customer service, where I think back to some of the jobs I used to have and think, we could have done this exact same thing. And you hear all the stories behind the scenes and what it's like to work as part of the team. And they bring that all to life on their TikTok accounts. So shout out to Santoro's Pizzeria in Tampa. I really enjoy your content. I think you're doing an amazing job. I don't know if we could have ever pulled this off at Strong Coffee. I was thinking about it. Like pre-COVID, when we were in our last office, there was one summer we had 3 summer students. So we had a pretty packed little office, and there was always kind of something else going on besides just working. That probably would have been the only time we could have pulled something like this off. Probably would have taken a lot of work. Now that we're all remote, this wouldn't work whatsoever for what we do. But shout out to them. So, 3 very different answers to what entertains us and informs us on social. And that's the beauty of social media. There's so many different things to look at and to get information from and to be entertained by.
I have one more topic on this kind of the same note that I've noticed.
Oh.
I just kind of want people to at least be aware of it. But there is this new trend. If you remember on previous podcasts, I think I've talked about Make and what it can do.
Yep.
So what I've been noticing is these full-blown videos that have been now created, which I'm 99% sure is from Make, where it's like you start with the scenario. And the one I most recently watched had Joe Rogan in it, but not really Joe Rogan in it, where it was basically telling the story of this submarine and it being attacked by a megalodon, saying that the megalodon was back. So what I think is actually happening here is they're splicing in Joe Rogan podcast, but the mouth isn't aligning with the words that are being said. And then it goes into a guy telling the story about, the megalodon from like the military's point of view, and it cuts back and forth for little like facial expressions of Joe Rogan and this random guy that he's interviewing. But it's all fake. It's all really what I think is happening here is someone has created an automation where they go to ChatGPT and say, create a narrative or a storyline or a dialogue of
Script or something.
someone who went and did this, someone in the military that got attacked by Megalodon, and make it believable. And then it's taking that, using other tools to then create AI generated images, which it's now layering over, plus text on the video, and splicing in this Joe Rogan stuff all at once to create this new content video that's getting hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. I bet you it's almost all automated. It's through that program called Make, and it's like using ChatGPT. It's using ChatGPT to build out like certain sections of it into specific images, layering over text. Like it's all fake, and it seems pretty believable. Like they do a very good job of making it look legitimate. But my only comment with that is definitely have a discerning eye.
Yeah.
Because content for content's sake is what a lot of TikTok is. It's not reality. And it's more of a warning than anything else. And when I first saw this, I'm like, this is pretty cool they were able to do this, because I know how it was done with automations. But it's also scary how believable it could be to someone who doesn't have that discerning eye.
And the tip of the iceberg with this technology, it's only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. You know who doesn't make fake content? Santoro's Pizzeria.
And
Just
us.
And us. This is us. We are real.
My mouth moving.
We say we don't make fake content, but another thing that could have gone in the tool time recently was Yasher and I recently used a tool which used AI to create someone saying something that they didn't actually say, which was the client recorded a piece of voiceover. There was one particular word that they kind of fumbled on, and we just used the AI software to re-record that one line. It was like 5 minutes of audio. You upload the audio you have, it understands that person's inflections and the tone of their voice. You type in what it wants, and it spat out that one line, and it was impossible to tell. So as you say, Brian, this is
awesome and scary at the same time.
That's exactly it. It's incredible that you can do that, but at the same time, as you said, Brian, this is the worst it's going to be. So
yeah,
where are we going to be in another year? Who knows?
Well, where's my career as a monster truck announcer going to be if all of a sudden AI takes over? And
just don't upload your voice. You get on Fiverr, you make the money while you can, Brian.
I put it on our podcast, so basically ruined already. This episode will never make it out now.